So I was watching the authentication video on StockX's website, and I learned today that a smell test is part of authenticating sneakers, which I
Absolutely.
had no idea that we had people sniffing sneakers. And it's not to
Yes,
smell
like
for it's not
fine wine.
yeah, and it's not to smell for previous feet that have been in the sneakers. It's to smell for things like the glue that someone might use for Jordans. So, what are some of the factors, Dina, that go into authenticating a sneaker or other products
Yeah.
that might surprise us?
Yeah, there are very extensive SOPs for authentication, and I'm talking like 100 plus point checklists that our authenticators are trained on for months. There's like a 90-day training program, and there are various levels of authentication. Status. So as an authenticator, you sort of move up the food chain as
Mm,
you gain expertise and as you get more numbers under your belt of
wow.
successful authentication. So it really is a trade of its own. The sniff test was one that surprised and delighted me. There's all of these details that you would not ever anticipate: stitching on various parts of the product, the way the logo is printed on the box or the packaging, what accessories are or are not included, even the way the logo may be placed. So it's not just like the colors they use, but the placement on a box that can be a tell for a fake. So it's honestly, I don't even have the command of all the things that our authenticators check for. And it's really, I would call it sort of the heart of our operation and the heart of our business, because it's the human aspect that ensures that trust, that we deserve all the trust that we get from our customers.
I always thought about this. Fake and authentic, the line can be so fine sometimes. And if you think it's real and others think it's real, then it's real, right?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on your perspective. I think, if you are in this to invest or sell, it really matters
Yeah, yeah.
because, of course, you don't want to propagate fakes. You don't want to go on and
It's
pass
illegal.
on a bad
It's
product that will come back to you, right? So
right.
that's for one important group of our stakeholders and customers. That's really important. And I think for others, even if they're just in it to consume the product, there's some like a badge of honor, right, around only wearing and embodying the authentic thing. In fact, in current culture, I think authenticity is one of those values.
Hmm.
It can obviously mean a lot, but for this next gen consumer who is our core consumer, the idea of authenticity is really core.
Have there been any misfires that you care to share? I'm just, we talk about successes, but also failures are part of success here. And
Yeah.
have there been categories that just didn't work for whatever reason, or international markets that haven't caught on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give one example that I think is really interesting because it speaks to how important it is to be true to your own business truths. So when we went into handbags, um, there were expectations in the industry, right? So there are many handbag resellers, online resellers, and there were norms around condition, right? We at StockX only had sold dead stock or new product, but the handbag resale industry had an expectation around used. And so when we launched handbags, we conformed to that norm. We had new, but we also had used and like new. And what we learned is that that created a lot of complexity in our system because our system is optimized for new condition. And so making these exceptions just added a lot of new steps that were costly or slow or hard to trust. Like the idea of creating trust with the consumer because the standards for authentication are very clear. That gets fuzzy when you introduce different conditions. And so after about a year and a half of operating in that more kind of normed to industry environment, we said, you know what, we're going back to who we are. And that means only new condition on as it relates to handbags. And since we made that change, the business has exploded because we were able to really focus our energy on, gaining supply, clarifying the value proposition. And so it's been a really great reminder of how important it is to stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I mean, Dina, there's so many layers that you have to get right if you're launching new products, new categories,
Yeah.
new regions. I know that one of the things you guys leaned into during the pandemic was this digital travel series called Excursions, where you explored cultures in different cities around the world. So it's this kind of
Yeah.
complementary piece of content as you're launching in new markets. What are some of the biggest learnings or different motivations for cultures around the globe when it comes to resold products or collectible products that you found particularly
hmm
interesting?
Well, one of the things that has been really illuminating and clarifying in our global strategy is that while a lot of our strength comes from being a global platform and providing access to global supply and global demand, there's still a lot of value placed on local product, local creators, local moments. And it is so important to be relevant, even though we're a big global company, to be relevant in market. So we'll use Japan as an example, where this is a incredibly influential country in current culture, and the customer has a lot of expectations about us as a brand, and I think any brand really knowing and respecting their own culture, their local creators and brands, their local holidays, the local calendar, and so on. And so what we've done in response to this learning is in every market that's a priority market for us, we sort of blend the global center of excellence teams with the local on the ground teams. And together they're able to provide that right balance of sort of horsepower and scaled learnings with the local intuition, the local relationships, the local cultural understanding. I think, honestly, any company that has hopes of being global and being successful in an authentic way needs to take a hard look at that. And that's true for our marketing. It's true for our customer service. It's true for our authentication and supply chain experience. And of course, our core product experience.
If you like what you saw and you like what you heard, you can listen to the entire episode of this podcast, Business Casual, anywhere you get your podcasts. And please go ahead and subscribe to the Morning Brew YouTube channel, and go ahead and click on that alarm bell, that thing right there, so you can be alerted anytime there's a new video.